Good afternoon, welcome to GrainTV. My name's Cody Bills. Today is Wednesday, it's the 25th, and we had the markets mostly unchanged here with corn trading up a penny, soybeans down 3 1/4, and wheat in Chicago down 4 1/2 cents. Keep in mind you can watch these markets trade live through the Grain Hedge trading platform. If you don't have one already, go ahead and take a demo at grainhedge.com. You get a 14-day free trial. See the markets trade live from your mobile phone. Let's talk a little bit about some of the items that came out today in terms of news. We had Landworth come out and revise their estimates here for planted acreage report that's supposed to be released out on Tuesday at 11 o'clock Central Standard Time. You'll notice Landworth was on the lower end of analyst expectations that we've seen. We have, of course, Farm Futures Magazine and Informa Economics. And notice how Landworth stacks up here at 88.2 million acres of corn expected to be planted this year, and also 85.5 million acres of soybeans expected to be planted this year. The corn acreage seems to be in line for the most part with Informa Economics as well as Farm Futures Magazine, but it's the soybean number which is a little bit on the shy side, a couple million acres there lighter than Informa and Farm Futures Magazine. We'll of course be updating any other estimates that come out here. We'll be reporting on it. Reuters has an analyst of a poll of analysts that they'll be reporting on, and as soon as they get that out here, of course, we will be announcing that on GrainTV. So do stay tuned over the course of the rest of this week, and also keep in mind that it's more than just a planted acreage report on Tuesday. There's also quarterly grain stocks. Both of those items are potentially very market moving. Let's talk a little bit about ethanol production. We were up 6,000 barrels per day to 953,000 barrels per day. You'll notice, take a look at the overall ethanol production chart. You'll be able to see not only where we were last year, which is the blue line, but also that 4-year average. The green lines here in this chart represent this year's production, and of course each bar is 1 week versus 1 week worth of ethanol production numbers. And you'll notice that we're kind of getting into that time period where we start to ramp up ethanol production going into that summer driving season. So just keep that in mind. We did have a nice increase. This is the 3rd straight week of increased ethanol production, so this is relatively supportive here for the grain markets, particularly corn. We did see an increase in ethanol stocks, up 497,000 barrels to 21.32 million barrels. So that's important to note here. Ethanol stocks increased a significant amount this week. Let's talk a little bit about the charts and the damage done. You'll notice that corn didn't have a very wide range here today. It seemed to kind of just bounce around in a very narrow range. But take a look at this daily chart. I believe I drew this box above where corn is trading. You'll notice that the box really kind of represents this resistance area, and it's been kind of moving up through this resistance area, but I think this is the height of resistance. You'll notice the very bottom of the box, you'll have the 100-day moving average, and the top, you have the previous highs that were set back in January and also early February. Those highs, I think, will likely act as resistance again if we push higher through that 100-day moving average. But I wouldn't be surprised, considering the resistance up there, if in the next couple of days we get a little bit of a pullback here in the corn market. Also, take a look at wheat. You'll notice the last couple of days we have been pulling back. We have had better forecasts here for rains in Russia. Looks as though we had improved conditions for Texas and Oklahoma earlier on in the week, and this provides a little bit of relief here to this short covering rally that we've had really since the beginning of March. Let's talk a little bit about soybeans. One thing I wanted to talk about, of course, is the technical weakness here. Take a look at the daily chart. This is a candlestick chart. Each day or each bar represents 1 day worth of price activity. You'll notice that the blue line and the red line that's right above the most recent price action, that is the 50 and the 20-day moving average. Both of those moving average are very close. And to me, this means that that area is likely to provide a significant amount of resistance. It increases the potency of that resistance. So keep keep that in mind. You'll notice we touched on it back on Monday. We touched on it again here today. Very strong resistance level. This is something to consider when you are trading these markets. Keep in mind that earlier today we did get AgroConsult coming out and revising their overall soybean production estimate up to 95.8 million metric tons, up from 94.7 previously. Right now we are about 61% complete when you look at harvest throughout Brazil for that soybean harvest. That's about 4% behind last year's estimate, or last year's harvest pace. All in all, we have had nice dry conditions that has helped move harvest along, and that does make me a little bit wary here that not only do you have some overhead resistance, but you also have an increase in overall production estimates from AgroConsult, and you have good weather here for harvest going forward. When you look at Argentina, that doesn't provide much of a bullish story either. Typically we start to see harvest in around April, but right now we are starting up some harvest here, about 1 to 2% complete now, and we're seeing very, very good yields out of Argentina. So that is something to pay attention to, and I wouldn't be surprised when you look at these stories and when you look at the overall chart, you have resistance and you have some stories here about increased production globally, which I think will weigh here on soybeans going forward. Other than that, we do have export sales out tomorrow. Pay very close attention to these. We'll be writing about them in our morning market commentary, and you can of course view that commentary by just taking a 14-day free trial at grainhedge.com, the top right hand corner. But keep in mind here, the analyst estimates for export sales out tomorrow for corn between 400 to 600,000 metric tons, soybeans between 100 to 300,000 metric tons, and wheat between 200 to 400,000 metric tons. So pay close attention to that. Soybeans is the one I'm going to be paying close attention to. We have had a huge run up in the dollar here. That could very easily start to play a big role here in export sales for soybeans, especially with the Brazilian real having traded off very sharply. And not only that, but you have this, of course, this pressure from harvest. It's going to be interesting to see if soybean sales can still once again come in and show consistently strong sales like it has been doing, but really we would expect those sales to taper off and really be very minimal impact here going forward. Thanks a lot for tuning in. If you have any questions about what we are talking about here today, give us a call. Number's 877-472-4607. Thanks a lot for tuning in. We'll see you here Thursday for the export sales report.